Mr. Sibal, thank you very much for your time here on Mirror Now. We are speaking at a time when the Supreme Court and the Government of India are in disagreement over almost everything, over the Collegium System, over PILs, bails, even vacations. So I do want to speak to you about all of that, but let me start by asking you what your view is on the government asking the Supreme Court not to hear frivolous PILs and minor issues like bail. I mean, of course, the Supreme Court today is saying that no case is too big or too small for us. But what's your view on that? Because the pendency is high. The government does have a point.
You see, the pendency is high not because of the court, because there are not enough judges in terms of the population of this country, and there's not enough infrastructure. If you increase the numbers of a judge in a court, you have to increase other facilities.
The infrastructure,
the library, clients. You have to have people who will man those courts. You'll have to have examinations if you want to fill the vacancies in the lower judiciary. So you have to make sure that you have at least, 50 judges to a million population. So we just don't have that. So why blame the court? That's number one. And then most of the PLs that are filed, as I see, and I don't want to say it publicly really, a lot of them are the government supports. Somebody files a PAL and a law officer appears on the other side, and I say, I agree with this. Whether it is, uniform civil code or
so you're saying the government is also wasting the Supreme Court's time?
No, nobody is wasting anybody's time. PALs are considered by the court if the court considers them to be relevant for the purposes of deciding a particular issue. So why blame the court? Ultimately, somebody files a PIL, he is entitled to file a PIL. The government is there on many occasions to oppose it. If the court feels that this is a matter that is worth considering, the issue is not, I think, the government is being overbearing. It has captured all other institutions. This is the last citadel of freedom that it wants to capture.
But if the government says, just concentrate on, look, you already have a pendency of 70,000 cases, just concentrate on constitutional matters, the bigger matters.
Who are they to say? Why doesn't the court tell them, forget about all this tamasha that you make outside, all this, telling people what is happening? What about the poor people who are living below the poverty line in this country? Why don't you concentrate on that? Why are you trying to capture institutions, topple governments, make those statements that you make and your politicians make and your BJP MPs make or MLAs make? Just concentrate on the poor of this country and improve their living. Does the court tell them that? It's time that the court should, because they're not doing their job. You tell them reduce inflation, it shouldn't be more than 6%, right? Reduce inflation, make consumer prices available for consumer goods available for people. Make sure that the prices are not high. Just concentrate on that. Concentrate on exports. Why is our fiscal deficit so high? Does the court tell them that? Let the court manage its affairs and let the government manage the people of this country and make sure that India moves forward.
So you're saying the government has no business to micromanage what the court does?
The government has no business to interfere in what's happening in court. Courts know what their job is. The judges, you cannot imagine the kind of work our judges do. Look at what's happening in Supreme Court. The other day, there were 110 matters in the Supreme Court. And there are, I am sure that in any minister's office, there are 110 files which are not attended to. And these judges read every word of their files, come prepared the next day. They have to hear arguments the next day. I mean, it's just an unbelievable job that they are doing. And then you say they don't need a vacation. You are constantly on vacation. What work do you guys do? Does the court tell you that half the time you're on vacation? Let's see. Institutions can't be run like this. Democracy cannot be run like this.
Mr. Sibal, the government's argument is that it is their job, or at least it should be their job, to have a say in the appointment of judges. They are saying, A, the collegium system isn't transparent, and B, more importantly, there is no mention of it in the Constitution.
Well, that's a judgment of a court, unless they don't accept the judgment.
They don't?
If
They
don't,
say it
then
was
ask
wrong
for a
to
review.
strike it down.
Ask for a review. It's been struck down. Last time they tried to put in the NGAC, was struck down. Why? Because they want to usurp that power. You see, previously it was in consultation. Appointment was in consultation with the Chief Justice of India. Right? That's the original constitutional provision. The court said in consultation means that the Chief Justice knows better. That's what it means.
So it's a matter of interpretation.
Yes, the Chief Justice knows better, and therefore it is the judiciary who will decide, because they know who are the lawyers and who are the judges who need to be appointed. What's wrong with that? And the judgment is, the government is consulted. The names are sent up. If you have any problem, send back the names.
But the government says you can't treat us like a post office. Aapne jo naam bheja, humne thappa lagaya,
But that's
and we
the
sent
original constitutional provision is also that, because who is the government to know which lawyer is good and which is bad? You mean there's ministers? Ministers nowadays, law ministers only have degrees. They don't practice. Would they know sitting in their office as to which lawyer is efficient and who is not efficient? Therefore, what happens is they want their own people there. They have their own people in universities now. The vice chancellors are theirs. The governors in the states are theirs, who sing their praises. The less said about the election commission, the better. All public offices are controlled by them. They have their own people in the ED, they have their own people in the income tax, they have their own people in the CBI who are now persecuting people. They want their own judges too.
But when the government says we represent the will of the people, the parliament represents the will of the people, and if parliament or the government wants a say in the appointment of judges, what
they have
is
a say.
wrong?
They have a say.
Not enough, according to them.
Not enough is something that is to be dealt with, though, in a court of law, not the individual diktat of a minister or a government. Not enough means what? They want the final say. That's what they want. That's what they want. They want their own people there. That's their game plan, because now they've kept. That's why this issue has come up, because they have such an absolute majority. They think they can do what they want. And if this is true, then obviously the basic structure theory is also wrong, because Parliament is supreme. They represent the will of the people. There is no concept of a basic structure of the Constitution. They can take away our fundamental rights. They can do what they like, because it's the will of the people as long as they are in majority. But that's not acceptable in any democracy.
But are we treating the Supreme Court like a holy cow by saying that they cannot be questioned?
Who is treating the Supreme Court as a holy cow? There are people, there are judges who have been sought to be impeached. I'm not saying that the collegium system is perfect. I have a lot of concerns about the way the collegium system works. But I am more concerned about the fact that the government wants to capture the appointment of judges as well and have their own people there of their particular ideology. Between the two, I'd any day prefer the collegium system.
What are your concerns about the collegium system?
Many concerns. It's non-transparent. It's non-transparent. I think that there's a lot of camaraderie.
Do you want to say nepotism?
I don't want to say anything. A lot of camaraderie. And of course, human beings are human beings. People have their likes and dislikes. People become chief justices. They want to, promote people who they have been with, who they like, consider them to be good judges. Nothing wrong with that. And then what's even worse, and that's the worst part of the collegium system, is that High Court judges now look at Supreme Court judges, right, for their appointment, for their elevation to the Supreme Court. So it has, in fact, to some extent, impacted the independence of High Court judges as well, because they constantly look at the Supreme Court and want to please those judges to show that, look, they are the ones who should be appointed. And that's not good. That's not good at all. So I have a lot of concerns about the collegium system, but be that as it may, I will be the last person to allow this to happen if it is in my control, in my hands. I will raise my voice to say the last citadel of democracy is the court, and if that falls, we have no hope left.
The collegium debate isn't new, we know that. There has been criticism of it before as well. Why do you think we are seeing this sharp exchange of words now? It's happening in Parliament, it's happening publicly, the gloves are off. Why do we see this escalation now?
I think it's only a one-sided attack.
No, the Supreme Court has been very vocal about what it thinks the government is doing and saying.
No, that's in court. That's in court. There's no public statement made. I think it was one particular judge presiding over a bench who was concerned about the fact that names have been sent and they're not being cleared. What's wrong with that? Nothing wrong with that.
The government, of course, is arguing that last year, was it this year, they have appointed the highest number of judges to the high courts compared to any one year.
It's the job of the court, no? So they should congratulate the court. If on the one hand, they say they don't appoint, they're not enough leeway to appoint. Now they say that, look, they've done a great job. It's a contradiction in terms, no? I think the court did a great job. The court is sending the names and they're appointing, I'm glad. But they're not appointing as names which have been sent, which they hold back, even if they have been sent twice. The judgment says once a name is sent twice, they have to appoint. Even that file they hold back.
In the larger picture, is it healthy for a democracy for the Supreme Court and the Parliament or the government to be sparring like this rather publicly? Whether it's about the Collegium or anything else, is it healthy or do you think it's unpleasant?
I can only say it's inappropriate for anyone to make public statements of this nature. I think if anything needs to be done, I think the court should look at its own procedures and improve them in the Collegium system. And the government should, if it thinks that a new system is necessary for appointment of judges, it should propose a new system through legislation. That's the only way to move forward. And maybe there's a middle path there, that there is another institutional framework set up through a new legislative process through Parliament, which allows for both the court as well as the executive, as well as certain independent voices, right, in a collegiate system to recommend judges in a more transparent fashion. I mean, I'm willing to have a debate on that, but I'm not accepting the government to say that, look, let us appoint whoever we want to appoint. Then, you know, everything else is almost saffron. I don't want the court to be saffron.
So you, of course, have had your own disagreements with the Supreme Court, especially over the PMLA. A lot of opposition netas who land in trouble, you seem to be their first port of call, Satyendra Jain, Abhishek Banerjee, etc., Sanjay Raut as well. What exactly is your problem with the Supreme Court judgment and the PMLA Act and the ED's powers? What exactly is the problem? They say we are just doing our job. Why does Mr. Sibal have a problem?
No. 1 second. It's acceptable to criticize a judgment. I'm not attacking the court. I am saying this judgment is inconsistent with the values of our democracy.
Why do you say that?
Because of the provisions of the PMLA. For example, now you can pick up any. Supposing there's a offence filed under a prosecution filed under the penal code, right? Immediately the ED will come in. It will start taking over and saying there are proceeds of crime. It can arrest immediately. Then the provisions of bail are such that you can't get bail. And how is it that everybody else is corrupt, but nobody within the BJP system is corrupt? I mean, the whole world is corrupt. Every political, almost all leaders and major leaders in political parties are corrupt, but no leader in the BJP is corrupt. I suppose there's a special DNA through which they have been brought up, which makes them as pure as white as snow, and everybody else is corrupt. I mean, and the ED only goes after them. It's a little surprising, no?
But the Prime Minister says, na khaunga, na khane dunga. Maybe that's the message that has gone down?
Whether the Prime Minister says that or not is not the issue. Is whether in his system there are corrupt people or not. I'm not accusing anybody. You know, and what happens is that if other people make speeches, they are targeted under the code. But if their people make political speeches which are much more vicious, they are not dealt with. So either the system works only for them, or the system is directed to work only against the opposition parties.
Many people can argue there will be no smoke without fire. There's something to it, because if your hands are clean, no one can touch you.
Correct. So most of them cannot be convicted. So, but their
Satyendra Jain
language
is in jail, sir?
their language, whatever, jail is there, trial hasn't started, charges
Sanjay-
have not
Sanjay
been
Raut-
made, and yet they are in jail. That's the point. They keep them in jail for months, the trial takes years, ultimately they are acquitted, and in the meantime people lose the best part of their lives and their reputation. That's their whole idea.
So punishment by process.
Punishment by process, yes. Well, that's the way it is in this country now. Since 2014, I've seen the country move forward only in that direction. And people are afraid to voice. I mean, 1.6 million people have left this country. Have left this country to reside somewhere else. Why? They're all corrupt. I guess they are. Why would they leave otherwise? Because they think because they are corrupt, they'll be put in jail here. Or is it that they feel that they may be persecuted for no reason at all? Why live in a system which can target you at any time without cause?
Mr. Sibal, is it a bit of a stretch to say that nothing has worked in this country since 2014?
I didn't say that. Did I say that?
No, I'm just asking.
Did I say that?
No, you didn't. But I'm asking you for an opinion then.
No, look, let's be clear on it.
Have there been things that have worked since the BJP government has taken over, in your view?
Let's be clear. Government is a continuum. If there's a project that is ongoing, and many projects takes years, right? It's completed by the government that is the successor government. It's a good thing. It's a good thing that we are moving forward in the digital technology space. It's a good thing that we are moving forward in defense. It is a good thing that we are trying to strengthen our borders, building infrastructure in our borders. But that's a continuum. Every government would want to do that. But it's not as if this is something that only this government has done. All governments have done that. So I don't see, you know, as I said, government is a continuum. Any job, for example, when I was the Minister for IT and Telecom, we had the project of connecting the Gram Panchayats. Right? That project was on 20,000 crores was allocated. That project is still not completed. 250,000 Gram Panchayats had to be connected to fiber optics. That project is still not completed. Do I criticize? No. It's a continuum. Hopefully it will be completed. Right? If there's a big tunnel that had to be built, right, in Kashmir, it was not started in 2014. It was started much earlier. It got completed. But then the show that, you know, it is because of me that this has happened, that's the kind of thing that this government does, to take credit for everything that was started sometimes earlier and completed in their tenure. And if they have completed it early, quickly, kudos to them. I'll congratulate them. And I'm sure there are many such projects which have been completed because of the push that they have given to those projects. So I don't criticize them for the sake of criticism. But let's not take credit that everything good that has happened in India has happened since 2014. You know, it's like this. You build a house, right? You build a house, you build the infrastructure, everything is in order, then you start painting it. So the person who paints the house says, I built it. And forgets that, you know, somebody else built it. The IITs were built by us. The IIMs were started by us. Nobody gives us credit for that. Those are the people who are now CEOs of countries abroad, or many companies abroad.
Does it amuse you to see Pandit Nehru being dragged into every second conversation?
That's right.
National conversation?
I have always said that this country should not live in the past. Our politics takes us always to the past instead of looking at the future. What we need is to look at the eyes of our children and look at their future and not think of what happened in 1947 or happened thereafter. That's happened. These people were not there when that happened. They were not even part of the national movement. They don't know. But you can sort of interpret any event in any fashion you want. So you see, why vilify the past when you can build the future?
Anything you'd want to salute the Prime Minister for? I mean, everyone has their positives and negatives. What do you think is his biggest positive? Anything that you appreciate? You see him and
that he is charismatic. No doubt about it. That he can attract people by selling a dream. He's a conjurer. And I credit him for it.
How's life been after the Congress Party? You've spent a lifetime there, which is why I ask you this question.
Well, my heart is still with them. I mean, I am a congressman at heart. There's no doubt about it. Why? Because I belong to that ideology which is inclusive. And I think a lot of parties within the opposition have the same ideology, so I'm with the opposition.
Any regrets leaving the Congress Party?
No, it's not a question of, see, what do you mean by leaving the Congress Party? I mean, as I said, I'm ideologically in the same space. So in a sense, I haven't left. I'm formally not a member of the Congress Party, but I respect all the leaders of the Congress Party. They still continue to be my friends. They still seek my advice. I still give my advice. I still represent many of them. I have no angst against anybody. It's just that I didn't want to continue to be a formal member of the party. Because I want to have an independent voice, like my conversation with you. I'm not now cabined, cribbed and confined by the ideological moorings of the party.
In that spirit, let me ask you a question about Rahul Gandhi and his Bharat Jodo Yatra. He's completing 100 days. I think by the time this interview airs, he would have completed 100 days. Is he on the right track?
But that's what he thinks.
What
Who
do you
am I to
think?
comment? Why should I? I don't belong to the Congress. I'm not going to criticize or appreciate. I think Bharat Jodo is a well thought out concept. In fact, it's a concept that we must all embrace. Now, whether it brings political dividends or not is not something for me to say. That's something for them to decide on and to think about.
Can I ask you why Priyanka Gandhi hasn't been given the sort of prominence in the party that she should have been given? She just won Himachal, which is why I'm asking you that.
Ask them that. Why ask me?
Because you're an old-timer. You say your heart is still with them, etc., etc.
Ask them that. I'm nobody to comment on the functioning of the Congress Party. And I will not comment. You may ask me any number of questions.
No, I will not waste your time. I will not waste your time.
Don't waste your time. My time is okay.
Are you still writing poetry?
Yes, a lot.
And how do you
I
do
just
it?
published a third book, just in September.
And are you still writing it on your phone? Or
Mostly.
How do you manage that?
On my iPad or my phone.
How do you manage that?
It depends. My hands are sort of somehow convey my thoughts on my fingertips to the phone.
Is there anything you would want to end this interview with?
Well, I have to bring a book to recite it for you. Not easy to define the truth that may be yours, not mine. And yet you push it down my throat, invoking the divine. Often the contours of my truth, I know not why they change. Your static mindset makes me feel I am the one to blame. My thoughts, perceptions change, evolve. Discover I was wrong. I try to understand why your opinions are so strong. I feel a misfit in your midst, an alien out of tune. In time, I hope you might believe opinions are a boon. For in my thoughts, another point of view perhaps resides. One day you might just realize your truth was calcified.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you so much. What a pleasure it has been speaking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.